Hey, what's up, everyone? I know the Christmas time is, nearly almost here with all the Christmas movies, coming on. But I figured in the meantime, I get a chance to discuss one particular movie that I was kind of anticipating to discuss in my review, and that one is Bumblebee, which happens to be a prequel to the first Transformers movie taking place about 20 years before the events of the first one. And of course, as fans know, after the misfire, that was the fifth Transformers movie, the last, night. I guess the filmmakers felt it was, I guess, more interesting to kind of like go back in time and tell the origin story of, one of fans' most favorite Autobot, Bumblebee. And I would say one of the aspects in the Bumblebee origin story, the prequel to Transformers, that it goes into and it shows like how Bumblebee lost his voice synthesizer, and it also shows how he was able to gain the ability to communicate through the radio waves as a form of communication, and of course also how he got his name, which I thought was pretty interesting aspects to show as well. And of course the human protagonist in this one is Haley Steinfeld, who plays a teenager named Charlie, who ends up discovering Bumblebee. And then of course there's John Cena, who plays a military operative, uh, is trying to hunt down Bumblebee. And of course the film deals with the war between the Transformers and the Decepticons, and also how it happens on Cybertron when their planet's like in a state of disarray. And of course Optimus Prime, being the wise leader that he is of the Autobots, figures that he sends Bumblebee to Earth as a way of protecting it from the Decepticons, and he figures that more Transformers, I mean, Autobots, sorry, would follow along. I mean, one of the other aspects that I thought was also pretty good about this Bumblebee movie, that was like shorter in length and had a more tight knit story, so it didn't like drag on like the way that the Transformers sequel did, with the mindless action and feeling more of the same. And I would say the reason why I feel Bumblebee is one of the better Transformers movies since the first one, since it focuses more on like the like the character development, particularly the human and the Autobots, which I thought was a pleasant, surprisingly change of pace to see compared to the mindless action of the Transformers sequels. And of course, I know many fans who've seen the Transformers, whether it was the one from the '80s or the five live action versions that they did. I would see it for that reason, and also to see how Bumblebee's story began within the Transformers saga. So I would definitely give this one a recommendation, and curious to see what direction the Transformers saga will take. Whether it'll be a follow up to the Bumblebee, taking place just before the events of the first Transformers movies, or will they do something after the fifth, which I know is probably unlikely considering it didn't do well at the box office. But time will tell, and I think Bumblebee is also a good way to reinvigorate the franchise and start fresh a bit. And that's my take. And I'll also say, that the Charlie character is actually one of the more likable protagonists, since Sam Witwicky, Shia LaBeouf played the role in the first three Transformers movies. So that's my verdict on the Bumblebee origin story. So as I will conclude this video by saying, feel free to check out other videos I've done on my YouTube page, and thanks again for listening and watching this video. Thanks again.